So today we have our friend Ricardo. He travels around the world. He has been in Saudi last year, in Egypt as well. And Ricardo will talk about agility. Welcome, Ricardo. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Shireen. And thank you very much to everyone. I'm Ricardo Ramírez. I'm from Mexico, and I'm an industrial engineer. I also have a master's degree in data science and many certifications in supply chain management. So I have the best of both worlds. I know about machine learning and artificial intelligence, but I also have experience in supply chain management. And something that I always see in supply chain is that companies are always in two universal points of inventory. Either companies are in point B, they have a lot of inventory when they don't need it, or they are in point A with too little inventory. They don't have inventory when they currently need inventory. So companies always move in this bi-directional movement. They always have a lot or they don't have inventory. 90% of companies report this issue of bimodal distribution in their inventories. I want to make an emphasis in the food industry. Why in the food industry? Well, basically, if you have a lot of inventory, your product is going to be wasted. If you don't have product, the customer is not willing to wait for you. So the service level is going to go down. And also in the food industry, there are high turnovers and short consumption windows. That's pretty aggressive in the food industry, right? So something that my investigation has noticed is that there's some peculiarities in these companies that has this bimodal distribution, and it's because they are still using traditional and conventional planning process. So I want to talk about the MRP and the traditional planning process. MRP is a methodology that was designed for the 1965 environment. It was developed by Joe Orlicki in 1975. And Joe Orlicki says that MRP would become the way in which companies will plan the supply chain. And he didn't lie. In 2026, this hasn't changed. Companies are still using the traditional MRP process. So in order the traditional MRP works, there are three assumptions. First of all, the demand is known and it's never going to change. This never happens because we live in a VUCA world, in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world in which the demand is always moving, the demand is always changing. The second assumption is that we have sufficient time to execute all the activities within the customer tolerance lead time. And this never happens because our operations are more complex than ever. And third assumption, there is no execution and variation in the processes. Well, we need to accomplish these three objectives in order to synchronize the entire network and in order not to change the MRP process. This is a really good image in which we can see the evolution of the traditional MRP in time. And as we can see the evolution of MRP, we can see also the return on assets for the US economy in 1965 to 2012. And we can see how does this return assets going down in the meantime that the MRP is still having its evolution. And why it happens? Well, MRP was born in 1965 with a different supply chain environment. In 1965, the supply chain was less complex. The product life cycles were longer. The customer tolerance time as well was longer. The product complexity was lower than today's. In 1965, there was not too many customization, too much variation, and something really important. In 1965, the forecast accuracy was higher than today's forecast. So I made myself one question. What makes a company profitable? George Plossel says that all the benefits will be directly related to the speed of flow generation in materials and information. So I'm going to be profitable if I have flow in my process, in my materials, in my information. I was starting my journey of supply chain with a demand-driven methodology, and the first time I saw the definition of this agile method, it accomplished with this definition. Demand-driven is a method that protects the flow of materials and information. So demand-driven should be profitable because it says what George Plassel says. So I made an investigation about it. I made a comparison within the food industry in Mexico of traditional MRP versus demand-driven. Demand-driven is the agile methodology. MRP is a traditional methodology. So the objective was to demonstrate through observational simulation that food industries companies in Mexico using DDMRP could be more profitable than companies that still use traditional MRP. So the scope of the investigation was 3 companies in the northern, center, and southern part of Mexico. All the 3 companies different: sauce industry, cookie industry, and dairy industry. So we made a data preparation of all the information in order to do the simulation, and here are the results. So for the inventory evaluation, what can we see? Okay, in this scenario, we're gonna make a quick analysis of the sauce industry, the dairy industry, and the cookie industry. We also established some undone indicators in the top left corner of each image. If it is green, it means that demand-driven was more profitable in this case scenario. If it's red, that means that demand-driven couldn't accomplish a better service level or a better inventory reduction than the MRP. As we can see in the overall for these 3 industries, in most case scenarios, demand-driven, this agile methodology was more profitable than the traditional MRP process. As we can see, for the sauce industry, just by switching up the methodology, traditional versus the agile methodology, we could achieve an inventory reduction of 41% in the sauce industry by reducing 9 days of inventory. Now, in the dairy industry, we could prove that there's a reduction of inventory of 44% with 20 days of inventory reduction as well. Now, in the cookie industry, we could reduce at least 29% of inventory and 10 days of inventory just by switching up the methodology. Now, we also conducted some statistical proofs with some hypothesis tests. For example, in the sauce industry, we run the Wilcox and a bootstrap test because the data wasn't normal. In some case scenarios, we could reduce more than 100% of inventory. In other cases, only 11%. So the data didn't behave normally. So in the conclusion for the sauce industry, there is sufficient evidence to conclude that the change of traditional methodologies to agile methodologies could reduce at least 25%. In the dairy industry, we did the same test, and we could conclude that there is sufficient evidence to determine that changing MRP to DDMRP can reduce inventory by at least 25%, as well as in the cookie industry. Now, let's evaluate the service level, because one thing is to reduce inventory. The other thing is if the reduction of inventory impact the service level. Now, in terms of sauce industry, with the MRP, they obtain a service level of 88%. With DDMRP, with an agile methodology, they obtain 97% of service level. They increase 15% of service level. Now, in the dairy industry, they got a 71% of service level, and with DDMRP, they got 98% service level. In the cookie industry, they got really good results with the MRP, 94% of service level, but with DDMRP, they could improve up to 96% of service level. We run the hypothesis test as well in order to determine if the change of methodologies could generate a higher impact in the service level, and the conclusions are astonishing. There is sufficient evidence to conclude that the difference in service level is greater than 0. So changing traditional MRP in the sauce industry to agile methodologies could also increase the service level, not only reducing inventories, but also increasing service level. In the dairy industry, there is enough evidence as well as in the sauce industry to determine that the change of methodologies increases the service level as well as in the cookie industry. So this is the conclusion. If we switch from traditional MRP to an agile methodology such as DDMRP, the results in the reduction of inventory could be at least 25%, and the service level could be better if we just switch up the methodology. If we reduce inventory and increase service level, we definitely gonna impact the return of investment of the companies. For example, in the sauce industry, just for the sample that we evaluated, the company could reduce $500,000 by increasing 8 points in the service level. In the dairy industry, they could reduce $1 million and increasing 27 points of service level. And in the cookie industry, they could reduce $350,000 of inventory and increase the service level at the same time. We didn't want just to stay in Mexico, and we expanded the investigation in Ecuador, and the results were the same. The company could reduce at least 20% of inventory by switching up from MRP to DDMRP, and the service level was better just by switching up the methodologies as well. So in the conclusion, so if you are a company, if you are from the food industry, if you use MRP, and if you have bimodal distribution, you have a lot of probabilities to increase your return of investment only by switching up the methodology from traditional to agile methodology. Many people have asked me, Ricardo, can this methodology apply to any other industry rather than the food industry? And the answer is yes. We work in a consulting company, and we have experimented the service level, the change in service level, and the change of inventory just by switching up from traditional to agile in many industries: automotive industry, metal industry, ceramic industry, supermarkets, restaurants, and many other industries. So yes, we could also make or expand this investigation to many other industries. In this case, we wanted only to expand it into the food industry because of the benefits that it could achieve to this type of industry. Well, thank you very much, Shireen, and thank you very much, everyone. I hope you liked this presentation. This is my contact. If you want to add me in your contacts, it will be fine. Thank you, Shireen.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you for the great examples. Thank you for everything.